Hello, good afternoon. Hi, Priya.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Hey, all good, thank you. Um, all right, just a quick check before we start. Question to the participants: if you can hear and see us well, if you can write on a chat, I'd be very grateful. One more time, anyone from the audience, can you please let us know if you can hear me loud and clear? All right, perfect. Thank you, Veronica. In that case, let's let it begin. So, hello everyone, and welcome to our discussion today. Today, we're gonna be talking about revolutionizing e-commerce through AI, how we can empower personalization, bots, virtual assistants, customer experience with artificial intelligence tools. And let me first of all welcome my guest, Priya M. Nair. Priya is a founder of Zwag AI, GCC's first social app to be driven by conversational AI, which is a great, fantastic product. Hey, Priya.
Hi. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you here. And my name is Grzegorz Hajdukiewicz. I'm your host today, and I'm a Chief Delivery Officer at Montreal, who had a pleasure to organize this meeting, this discussion for you today. So, Priya, maybe at the very beginning, you can tell us a little bit about Swag AI and your journey with AI so far. Just to give it a little background to start with.
Yeah, sure. So I'm the founder of Zwag AI Solutions. We conceptualized, I set up Zwag, formally registered it last year, but I've been
Hmm.
working on the concept of a social app that is entirely driven by conversational AI way back in 2021. So now we are an established startup. We are supported by Tcom in Dubai and also part of the Microsoft startup ecosystem. What our flagship product is a B2C social app, as I said, that's entirely driven by conversational AI. Now, think
Hmm.
of it like WhatsApp, where you can chat with your friends as well as you can create group chats and stuff like that. But what Zwag AI does is to add an additional layer of conversational AI. When I say that, we have inbuilt chatbots called Zenies, just like a genie. What does a genie do? It asks you what you want, goes around the world, and gives you exactly what you want, right? Just like that, a genie would ask you what you want, go around the World Wide Web, and bring you exactly what you want. So, in terms of shopping, movies, music, gaming, sports, travel, health, offers, anything and everything. So, it's basically you can call it as your local AI search engine or a local AI social app. So,
Oh
that's
yeah,
our.
that's an amazing one. That's an amazing one. I already see how AI amplifies my personal life in so many areas, from planning my vacation, to writing my emails or anything else. But it also helps a lot in shaping your business as a whole, as a company, or your activities within a business as an individual. So do you also have any like experiences? It's a big thing these days, right? AI helping businesses.
It is. I mean, there is AI is not new, isn't it? Especially conversational AI is not new. It's been around since the 1950s. Uh, but in the past 6 months, the kind of trajectory that it has taken, especially when it's coupled with the power of generative AI,
Mhm.
there's no limit to what conversational AI can now do. Um, and earlier, people have always, people who had the budget, who had the resources, who had an internal dev team or could reach out to or outsource their development team used to have chatbots, right? Now, a lot of people think that chatbots and conversational AI are the same thing. They're not. They're different. When it comes to businesses, the way AI is transforming is definitely to put their automation on steroids, if you may, right? It
Mhm.
amplifies it, it enhances it. And right from the let's say that you're building a digital product, for example, right from the research to to kind of prototyping it and doing an MVP. So especially for leaner startups or for smaller companies or for SMEs, we follow the dictum, launch sooner, fail faster, learn earlier. And that used to cost startups a lot, now, but product designs, there are tools like Bubble and Builder.ai, low code, no code, MVPs that you can do, and the time taken to kind of take your idea to conceptualize, to do the research, and to kind of launch it to the market in terms of a prototype or an MVP. The time and the cost and the effort is considerably gone down. So look at what that does to smaller entities as well.
Yeah.
If you're a solo founder, if you're a founder, a team with just 2 or 3 people, it doesn't matter. You can launch sooner, fail faster,
Mhm.
and iterate faster. So that way, even in building a digital product, AI is bringing a lot of efficiencies there.
And that, yeah, that's a very interesting take, and it brings us to the broader topic because from my perspective, AI can help you in multiple ways. Like I said, both personal and professional. Let's focus on the professional part, at least for time being.
Yeah.
Today we're going to talk about e-commerce, and there are some obvious topics that we could start with when talking about how AI can help in e-commerce, and we're going to get to those, of course, to chatbots or conversational AI, and what's actually the difference to any other applications that you could find for artificial intelligence for e-commerce products. But I think it's fair to start with the very, very beginning, in the very beginning of the digital product journey. So when you're
Mhm.
actually planning to build your product, you're doing your research. I'm a huge fan of lean approach towards products and
Yeah.
product building. The one that you've mentioned, learn fast, fail fast. It's one of my favorite principles. Although, of course, it sometimes might be a little bit controversial, but I think as a general principle, it's very good. And you said that using the modern technology, you can learn even faster, not to say fail even faster, which is good because you would spend fewer resources on your
Yeah.
experience.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
when planning a digital product from the very beginning, is there anything AI can help us with, like specific examples or applications? If I was a founder today, how could I use conversational AI to help me?
Not just conversational AI, right? In this case, we'll have to talk in a broader sense. Let's
Mhm.
look at generative AI these days. How, as I mentioned, let's start with the research itself. You might have had to go to, when you're doing the research, right? What's your source of data? Usually, it's either the primary research data, first-hand data, or the secondary resources that you go to the web. Or then there are statistics that you receive from or reports, or what do you say, industry related reports. If it's e-commerce, then take that to the regional level. Those reports, like, if you go to Statista to get that report, you have to, there's a limitation to get the free reports, right? Now, imagine you have to subscribe to it. It starts at $1,000
Mhm.
for kind of a limited period, and for people to invest that, and then you download these reports, you have to make sense of all these reports and research data yourself. Now enter generative AI and other AI tools that are able to provide you, summarize those research data, look at the patterns, predict things, come up with, make sense of the tons of data points that you have now.
Mhm.
uh, right from there to the next level of, as I said, you want to validate your data. There are tools that specifically allow you to create dummy data and kind of put your findings or your assumptions or your hypothesis into that data and see the trend, plot the trend analysis. Earlier, traditionally, it used to take, like, you create a focus group, you have to pay a consultant to do that. They will prepare a questionnaire. You go through the entire process. You come back. There was a lot of desk work and the field work that had to happen before to kind of validate your data with a set of user audience. That
Mhm.
has also been kind of automated to a great extent. So you are sitting on top of trillions of data sets now instead of very limited data sets, right? And the kind of insights that come out of using AI to kind of synthesize and make sense of that unstructured data
Hmm.
is phenomenal. And that itself, we are just talking about one process, like research. That's it, and see how much it's impacted. Now you go to, as I said, build an MVP, a prototype. A
Hmm.
lot of people kind of think used to skip that step, especially in a digital product. Why is MVP important? uh,
Hmm.
they would keep building, and in a lot of self-help books, as well as a lot of books that are written about why startups fail, one of the things that you hear is that there are a lot of false positives in the beginning. You
Hmm.
build something, you put something out, and then you see that 10 or 20 people, forget it, 50 people are using it, and you're like, oh wow, there's a real potential, there's a real use case for this particular product, which is
Hmm.
actually a false start. It might not be the case. To get to the 51st user, it might not be that easy, and that kind of questions your proof of concept, and all these things. So it's very important to put out an MVP out there before you've
Hmm.
built or even spent a lot of money. Build an MVP out there and put it out there and see. For Zwag itself, we are a social app, but we have not built the social app yet. What
Hmm.
we first did was to put out our MVP, which is still out there on Zwag.ai website. You can see and interact with the zines there, and every day we are getting feedback on how to improve the product,
Yeah.
right? So now, if you look at the AI element behind it, how does AI help you? Is to, as I said earlier, the amount of time and effort and the resources that's needed to create a prototype, to create an MVP, is much lesser. So now I believe that more product designers, product managers, and businesses would do that, create MVPs and not
Yeah.
skip that, which is a very important step.
Yeah, and I think you've touched upon a very important topic. This initial research and exploring what market actually needs. It's to me, it's one of the most important steps, because if you fail at this step or you just don't do it, well, the chances of success rate, success chance for success for your business lower significantly. And I think
Absolutely.
so far, the cost and effort that you've mentioned related to those activities might have been a blocker to some founders. And therefore, they have been creating startups, creating digital products based on their own assumptions, right? Instead of the actual
Yeah,
research and what people actually need.
yeah,
And like you said, nowadays we got accessible tools which are very easy to use, not expensive, or in some cases even free to use. And
exactly.
well, you can check, you can validate your ideas at the very early stage with low effort. Especially that
True.
generative AI is quite good in analyzing big chunks of data, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, including
Yeah.
from that data. So it's like you're saying that AI can help me founding, creating my digital product with all the administrative, like under the hood activities that I do, product management, early product management. So market research, like decisive process, analysis of user feedback, and so on and so forth,
Great.
which is actually great. But can it actually, thinking of the product itself now, if I decided, okay, I want to try to use as much of this new technology as I can to actually help my team build the product faster. And I know there is tools that help developers write their code faster, help them solve problems. But within the product, do you think implementing AI powered features or solutions can actually bring you faster to the market?
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. See, just look at what areas or what departments or what tasks are worth automating,
Hmm.
right? But always keep in mind that you cannot miss the human feedback. You cannot take out the human element from that, and especially for initial product development and everything, that's absolutely important. Uh, the way you collect the data, the way you label them, the way the tools that you decide to pick, the underlying models that drive those tools, these are all very important. Don't
Hmm.
just go and pick any tool to kind of uh, build whatever, even if it is conversational AI that you're bringing in. do not do that. So there's still the human element that's needed. So the first thing is to go and identify the right use case within your business. What would automation bring to that particular task? Will it result in any efficiencies, cost, time, resources, taking it to the market faster, taking your product to the market faster, the return on investment, whatever that is, does that particular use case warrant automation, or bringing in the AI element? If it doesn't, move on to the next task. So there are, especially in coding, if you're building a product in coding, I was listening to Google Cloud meetings one of the other days. So the Gen AI app, the Gen app that Google has, kind of helps you to build they're taking the dialogue flow to the next level, where within the product team, the development team can kind of query codes, bring in efficiencies to the codes and things like that. So the power of generative AI is immense, and of course, you have to know how to use it. There are prompt engineers coming in, so it's worth hiring a prompt engineer for your group, or for the companies, or consult somebody to build a set of. I believe that going forth, prompts that you should give to these generative AI would be part of your SRS documentation going forth. Is what I believe. That will be an inevitable part of your SRS, or even for the end user. You might have um, a cheat sheet for prompts to
Yeah.
provide to the end users.
Yeah, that's all good points. So to sum it up, for all the product managers out there or founders out there, when thinking of starting working on your new digital products these days, don't forget about AI. Be smart with your choices and make it launch fast. But you also mentioned, Priya, you mentioned one important thing. Don't forget about human factor here. Um, Early this year, I visited South by Southwest, and of course, AI was one of the main topics out there. Everybody was talking about it. Every second presentation was, I think, every single one was somehow related to AI. But what everybody said for now is an amplification of human activities, and I think this term is describing is very well, very descriptive. Describes very well the concept of what we're dealing with these days. So, if I went to the next stage, let's say I got my product, all right? I did my market research. I built the MVP. It kind of works. I see that people are asking me for more features and saying what's missing, which means I built a good MVP, as Eric Ries described in Lean Startup, referring to Kodak's online gallery. That there's always a good proof. If people want more features, if people say something's missing, it means they need your product. Let's say I'm at this stage now, and I need to, and it's an e-commerce product, because this is major topic of our conversation today, and I'm in need of implementing conversational AI. I already know that there is a need for that. There is a fit within my product. So should I use any of those, already existing generic platforms, or rather go for a custom solution? You said these days it's not as expensive as it used to be. It doesn't take like scientific research to build one. Can you elaborate on that? It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, so one thing we all need to realize, that generative AI is the technology that drives conversational AI. That's the underlying technology. Generative AI, as such, you cannot implement on your system, right? You need a front end. You need the language models that drive these are all general purpose stuff. It's not really connected to your systems. It's not yet trained to answer the kind of questions that you want. Only it does not have connection to your CRMs yet to understand your user behavior, your users' journeys. So connecting those generative AI models to your front end and your back end and your CRMs, and training it for your specific purposes, is something that what happens in the back end of conversational AI, right? And earlier it used to be like, the developers had to sit and create intents manually, and then train the vertices, and pair the answers. It used to be a laborious task. But now you are combining the power of generative AI plus conversational AI and the training and everything happens faster.
Hmm.
You're absolutely right. People have used conversational AI before in e-commerce sites, but mainly it used to be to answer, customer support. I lost my password. How to reset my password? What's the delivery time and things like that. But now we are able to go a bit further as well. Uh, to look at the cost and the effort to implement it, definitely it has gone down. And ourselves, we have a B2B product which is called We Build Bots. It's the website is webuildbots.ae. Our first product is Build Your Own Bot, BYOB. And
Hmm.
using that, what you can do is in just 2 steps, you can create a conversational AI chatbot for your website. So it kind of you just have to add your preferred name for the bot. You enter the source, which could be your URL of the
Hmm.
website, or it could be a PDF input that you wouldn't want to put in. It could be text input, as in you write 10 or 20 questions that you want the bot to answer, and then click generate bot. It will give you a preview window where you can test it, and then you copy the code and embed it on your content panel in your website, and that's it. A bot
Hmm.
is ready.
Oh,
Answer any question that is based on the source. It's as simple as that. If businesses out there want to test out how conversational AI can help your e-commerce businesses, it's as simple as that. And as of now, we are giving a trial period of 1 month, so you
okay.
can test it out and see how what's missing. You know,
Uh-huh.
uh, and you can also train it to hand over to a human agent if it doesn't know our model. So again, this chatbot, this conversational AI bot, is trained based on our proprietary language model, which is
Yeah.
Zlang, which is Zwag's large analytical language graph, and that is our own proprietary LLM. We just crossed 60 billion tokens last week. So it's that wider data, and 5 to 7% of that is very regional data,
Yeah.
and that's what sets us apart. Anyway, so it is powered by our own LLM. So that means that we are able to train it. We have the flexibility to train the bots. Now, you will see that in a month you'll understand what the gaps are. It is not able to hand over. It's not able to answer certain questions. I want to bring image cards or carousels. I want to bring in the more power of generative AI, in the sense that if you're an e-commerce site, you are not satisfied with showing your customers just textual responses,
Hmm.
right? So far, recommendations would be like, you bought this, so this could you bought a red dress, so probably you would be interested in a white dress as well. Those kind of recommendations used to happen. We see that on Amazon, things like that. So that is all your algorithms at work. But now, when you combine the LLMs and the other language models and generative AI with the conversational AI, what happens is, even if you want to ask the question saying that, let's say if you're on a travel website, the travel website only provides you, or you're booking a flight, it only actually provides is supposed to provide information only about flights,
Hmm.
for example. But then you are saying that, by the way, it's my first time that I'm going to Spain. Thanks for giving me the information about the flights. But what are the places that I can stay, or what are the places that I need to go visit? So
Exactly.
that kind of flexibility can be built in. Earlier, chatbots were not able to answer that kind of question. They were pre-trained on a particular set of data,
Yeah.
and it was not very flexible. It was rigid. But now enter generative AI, and then it's able to answer those questions as well. So e-commerce, the way conversational AI is being used on e-commerce sites, and the expectation of what your chatbots that sit on your e-commerce sites can
Mhm.
do is also changing. So people are expecting more hyper personalized recommendations. So a Gartner study says that 85 to 90% of the people expect that they get hyper personalized services, hyper personalized recommendations, and a vast majority of that gets frustrated if they don't get hyper personalized recommendations as well. And that's exactly why you need to harness the power of conversational AI. Earlier, I understand if you have an excuse, it's expensive, we don't know coding, we don't have an internal team to do it, outsourcing can be difficult and costly. There is no excuse now. You have built your own bot which is free for a month, and you have to do is just 2 steps. So there are a lot of tools, similar tools like that as well. Haptic, for example, has been doing this for quite some time. I see that Cognigi, there's another product called Cognigi that is very beautifully integrated. Their contact center, their generative AI, and it also connects to all the CRMs, Salesforce, so on and so forth. So you see how beautifully all the technology is coming together now to
Yeah,
enable e-commerce to do better customer service and better recommendations to your users.
it's fantastic. What you're saying is that I can not only like personalize the bots for myself or the conversational AI in whatever form of the interface it's going to be implemented for my needs, but I could also use like my own private data set to help it better serve my customers, right?
Yeah. Yes.
That's
So it uses the source, whatever source you give it as its source. It could be the website, it could be a PDF, it could be textual conversations, question answers.
so
It'll take.
that's actually pretty interesting. I talked with one of our clients last week, and they are a big e-commerce platform, and they were afraid to implement AI-based client assistants because they said, what if it tells them to go to another website? So actually, having this isolated and more personalized can help overcome those fears, right?
Absolutely. And that's why I said, generative AI is a very, very generic AI. And that fear will be there. If you ask ChatGPT a question about what's the best app development company or website development company, it need
Mhm.
not bring your website. It
Yeah,
need not. And
yeah.
we were at Seamless a couple of
I'm
weeks
sure it
back.
would. I'm sure it would, though.
Yeah, yeah. As long, yes, of course, why not, why not? So we were at Seamless a couple of weeks back, and one of the points that we had on we were telling people is that, will chat gpt recommend your local business to your local customers, was one
Mhm.
of the questions that we were asking, because we what we are saying is that you need to uh, Zwag AI does that. So
Mhm.
why? Because 6 to 7% of our LLM is specifically trained in regional data, and that's
Mhm.
what we are trying to achieve as well. Go as local as possible. If you're in the UAE and if you are in on one of the streets, and you ask the question to the Zini should be able to point you in the right direction. Uh, and if you're in Saudi, our LLMs will be trained or is trained to answer to specific questions from that region. Culturally sensitive,
Yeah.
complying to the regional requirements. So these are all very important. And when you use or leverage Zwag's LLMs or our products,
Mhm.
you can blindly go ahead, because we have taken care of all those requirements and compliances in the region.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. I mean, this is amazing. This is amazing where we are. And, also when you mentioned the example of recommendations on an e-commerce site, I just quickly thought about, how complicated it would be to implement such an implementation system without the use of, AI the way we know it these days, right? You would either have to train your own model and spend millions on scientific work around it, or create like a very complex algorithm that would still be quite dummy and limited. Create some UI for configuration for your administrative workers and all sorts of stuff that would be very expensive these days. You can just hook up an API, feed it with data, probably, paste some JavaScript code, and yeah, you're all good. So
No, you're done.
yeah, that's amazing. That's really fantastic. So if I wanted to, to see and check how this personalized AI can help, in action, can I go to the website or something?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So just go to webuildbots.ae, which is very easy. And as of now, as of today, we have a interest form. So what we
Mhm.
do is you register it, you put your bot's name, you put in your URL of the source that you want to generate your bot from, and then you give us your email address, and then within 24 hours, we give you the script. We mail you the script.
Mhm.
We are based on the importance of MVP. So based on the feedback that we had in the past 2 weeks, what we are doing is we are fine tuning our app. uh, or the front end that's going to be deployed next week, Monday. So if you can wait till Monday, you can go onto the website and then you can start generating a bot on your own. It's the same process. Once you create a bot, then you can manage it, edit it, look at the dashboards, look at the messages, the number of people who have visited, so on and so forth. So yeah, and if you want to see the zines in action, ask for recommendations. See if you want to see how the Zlang, our proprietary LLM, is working. Go to Zwag.ai, where you can interact with the zines, ask for shopping recommendations. You can watch movie trailers, book trick tickets, stream gaming from communities, and even create a playlist and listen to it. So go there and see how we are leveraging the power of conversational AI like nobody else, and like no, not something that you have not seen before.
Perfect. That's really good. And I encourage everyone to do this. We've been playing with AI since quite a while internally at Montreal. We have already offered our clients quite a few ideas to improve their products, and we've implemented quite a few of them already in both e-commerce, in communication applications like chat apps or and stuff, within a big employee engagement platform, so HR tech. It's basically all over the place. So it's even good to check out some existing tools, A, to give creators feedback, B, to give you some inspiration on how you can help your business, your product, or your friend's business,
Yeah.
because that's also
Yeah,
an
we didn't even touch on the other departments. We just touched the product development and the research department, right? So when you're a business, when you come to HR, the HR policies, I think there's a lot that you could do there. We think that the HR, the human resources there, the humans there are more empathetic. But research shows that there was a use case where uh, you know uh, the question of using AI in fields like healthcare, where you need the doctors to be more empathetic, and you need more empathy towards the patients and things like that. In those fields, the use of AI has been very contentious and very controversial, right? So there was this experiment that was done, and it was found that the AI was like up to 80% more empathetic to the
okay.
patients than the doctors available there. It could be a number of reasons, because doctors are humans. There could be a resource crunch. They would be at the end of maybe a 18-hour shift. They just came off a night shift, and so on and so forth. But then AI does not have that fatigue, right? So they were able to these trained AIs, of course, they don't have inbuilt reasoning, or they don't have inbuilt empathy, but they can imitate empathy, and
Mhm.
they can create the illusion of empathy and everything as close as, or even better than humans in certain circumstances.
Exactly.
So that kind of empathy, if you want to bring into in your HR, and there's a lot of HR department is where there are a lot of monotonous tasks that happens, right? Repeated tasks that happens
Yeah.
in terms of onboarding and things like that. So HR is a very great department or use case for bringing in automation and AI.
Yeah, we're using internally AI for supporting our employees to find information in our handbook and in our knowledge base and so on and so forth. But the thing you've mentioned about doctors, it actually brings us closer to the topic of e-commerce, because that's kind of related to customer support, and all sorts of activities that are strictly related to e-commerce business, and that are troublesome also because of the human factor of the cost and effort associated. So maybe let's start with, because you said that conversational AI and bots are kind of two separate things. Is that bots are kind of like a user interface to the conversational AI? Is that what you mean, or did you mean something else?
No, chatbots, traditional chatbots have always been pre-trained on data.
Yeah.
It's if you ask, I don't know if you're from this region, but if you've interacted with some of the chatbots, earlier chatbots, that were present on some of the utility services here, like Etisalat, the others. If you have interacted with them, they have been very rigid, and you would often find people yelling, give me customer support, give me customer support, and they will willfully type wrong commands and prompts, so that all they want to do is to skip the chatbot and somehow reach a human agent, right? And
That's
that is very much a drawback of what traditional chatbots have been. And Now if you look at conversational AI, as I said, it is able to stay on task,
Yeah.
uh, but humans are not in a conversation. Humans might have, bring in different elements. They might talk about something, but then they might remember something and they might bring in that element. But for a conversational AI, it is trained to stay on the task but be flexible enough to show the kind of empathy. So that's the kind of training that you are able to bring into a conversational AI, while traditional chatbots were not able to do that. So for the sake of saying, you can say that, okay, the chatbot, you're definitely talking to a chatbot, but the underlying technology of conversational AI has undergone a lot of changes rather than the rule based that earlier chatbots used to use. So that is what I meant when you say that the traditional chatbots are different from conversational AI chatbots.
I get what you mean. The other
Yeah.
take I was thinking of is that a chat is kind of a user interface to the conversational AI behind it, but the conversational AI itself can be used in multiple different ways, right? It can also be hidden
Yeah.
under the hood and kind of just output to the user and input from directions, not necessarily from what they type in the chat interface,
Yeah,
right?
true, 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 true. In terms of customer support, how people are leveraging the latest AI technology is also very amazing. In the
Mhm.
sense that behind the scenes, even just coming to the point of conversational AI can be behind the scenes. It does not need to be upfront. So imagine that you are an e-commerce platform or you have a contact center. Instead of chat, you are actually receiving calls, right? And on the screen of the contacts of the customers officer, customer service officer, and executive, you already have the data of the person that's calling, based on the user journey that this person has had on your website, or with the interactions at different touch points that this person has had, and also based on the call data from the previous interactions that this person has had. You get a
Mhm.
complete list of persona of this person that's calling in. you know uh, what is this person's feeling towards your brand? How have they interacted? Is this a client that keeps on shouting at customer service executives? Then how do you handle that? So all that persona comes up.
Yeah.
And the beauty is that, okay, this was there in all the other tools as well, but now if you are able to integrate the power of other LLMs and generative AI in general, if there's a generic question, say if somebody is calling to ask, like, I'm traveling to somewhere, but then is there any COVID restrictions in that place? Do I need a vaccination to go there? Is there any cultural barrier? Or as a woman, should I be dressed in a particular way?
Mhm.
That kind of questions, a lot of our customer service centers are outsourced, right? They are not in the region, or
Mhm.
not even in the regions that actually your customers are in. So if they are asking, asking a person who's sitting in the Asian country and asking, I'm a woman, I'm going to Saudi, what are the cultural things that I should be aware of? That person
Right.
need not know. But then there is, it's as simple as querying your generative AI interface there. And in real time, you get the information saying that, okay, these are the restrictions this is what you need to be aware of. And like reading from a live script, the customer agent can give very relevant information, which would have taken a bit more time if it's not part of their handbook, if they are not trained to do that. So that kind of flexibility also comes into kind of customer contact centers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a perfect example of amplification that I mentioned before, right?
Yeah.
It helps humans do their jobs better and faster, which is amazing. And like you said, it can work under the hood. It can help you analyze the incentive, the mood of the person, build a full persona. But it can also interact with people directly. I mean, because you've mentioned, and I saw there was one comment on the chat as well mentioning that people get frustrated when talking to traditional chatbots. Of course, they are dummy algorithms. They expect specific input to give you specific output.
Absolutely.
It's just an if-else, never-ending kind of
Correct.
conditional
Correct.
conditional
Yeah.
thing. But these days, the AI is so good that actually, I think you can have it user facing and
Yeah.
just kind of try to help users more with the direct use of these tools, as well as do the product recommendations, right? That you mentioned before, and we touched
Yes.
upon briefly.
The voice assistants these days. I was really impressed when I called Emirates NBD the other day, and I couldn't tell the difference if it was I was talking to a voice assistant or was it a real human being. But it was a voice assistant. It was so smooth the way the chat was done, and it stayed the course, but it was also flexible enough. And the way it kind of imitated the tonal variations in human agents as well was very impressive. So
Mhm.
that's a very amazing use case or implementation of voice assistants that I've seen in this region.
Yeah, these things are truly, truly amazing. And back to the features themselves within the application. So we talked about assistants, chats based on generative AI. We also talked about product recommendations. They can be way smarter from what they were before. And like I said, you can probably implement them faster. This is amazing what
Yeah,
we can do these days.
yeah.
So what do you think? Because there is numerous examples of features that we could talk about that can be amplified, enhanced with the use of AI. But what do you think is there a big significant impact on business, on sales, on the numbers for me as a hypothetical e-commerce business owner, or is it just for my users to be a little bit happier or to feel that they are not using an outdated product?
No, so there are different aspects to it, right? If your users are happy, you
Oh,
get business, isn't it? So that itself affects your sales and revenue. But it all comes down to how much in your product or in your business you are using manual work, how much of
mhm.
repeated tasks are there, and if automating that will bring in more efficiencies, especially when it comes to e-commerce. When you're looking at the if you're able to push better product recommendations, and if that AI system itself is able to connect to your CRMs and also is able to drive omni-channel communication through WhatsApp, through SMSs, through
Mhm.
emails, and things like that. Like Salesforce introduced their marketing GPT and commerce GPT very recently. Hootsuite has now leveraged the power of AI to improve social listening, right? So there
Mhm.
are a lot of tools that you can now integrate with e-commerce, and that will where you will see that implementation of AI is improving your or reducing your cost. Now think about uh, if you needed 5 customer service agents, or look at the sales itself, the pre-sales. A lot of pre-sales activities can be done through conversational AI on your
Mhm.
system. There's always people who have the same set of questions, who would not read the FAQs but would have the same kind of questions. And having a chatbot or having a conversational AI there to answer all those pre-sales questions is absolutely necessary, so that your resources are not sitting there answering frequently asked questions while there's another customer with an urgent requirement, probably lost their credit card or whatever,
Yeah.
and that kind of uh, prioritization of work and giving all the automated and repeated tasks to AI, routing that through AI, that definitely will bring savings and efficiency into your business. And in terms of efficiency, they say that up to 70 to 80% of efficiency is brought
Mhm.
in by introducing AI. And in terms of cost reductions, up to 20% is what is claimed that AI is bringing in that kind of cost efficiency. So we just have to go by the numbers. So anyway, as I said, conversational AI and chatbots are not new.
Mhm.
So people have been using that and have been seeing results, but now they're seeing multifold results faster. That's what we are seeing.
Yeah, and it can not only help you cut down your costs, right? It can also help you generate more revenue, like you said, improve your conversion rate by giving people better recommendations. I had this
Yeah,
idea recently that it could also kind of help us sense the user's incentive from the very beginning of their journey, and then as they carry on through the product, maybe adjust the way the products are displayed and presented to them in a way that they are more
yeah.
willing to. However,
Dynamic feed. Yeah.
Yes,
Time.
exactly. Dynamic page. Yeah, that's all possible now these days and not difficult to implement. We're
Yeah.
uh, we're almost out of time. So one last closing question before we move on to Q&A session. Uh, I know with innovation, it's a little bit strange that if you can predict it, it's probably not such a great innovation anymore. But if you were to say what's the next big thing in the AI world, what would it be in your opinion?
Oh my God. I see this question being asked to everybody, and even to Sam Altman when he was here in Abu Dhabi last week or the week before
Yeah.
at Hub 71. And I will say the same thing that he said. He said that I don't know, because he says that the technology is the AI technology is growing at such a fast rate that it's not because of the open source systems. People have different models to out there that they can build on, and people are building it on it rapidly. There are close to 3,000 products that just came out last month. 3,000 plus products that just came out last month that have been built on OSS. So it's very difficult to say what next, because we are all appalled by the way of the rate at which it's growing, the rate at which the technology itself is developing.
Mhm.
Um, and but I can specifically say that when it comes to e-commerce, probably, as I said, we are kind of moving more towards voice assistance, and you rightly pointed out that because I have this problem with my hand. I've been using a lot of voice, and even in chat, even in WhatsApp, there are a lot of bots that have been built for WhatsApp now, and Telegram and stuff like that. And they used to be very rule based, but now when you're bringing in the conversational AI element in there, there are tools that can summarize your voice. Even if you're putting in a voice, the AI in the behind the scene, converts that into text, understands the context. Understanding that context is very, very important when it comes to conversational AI. The intent, the context of the question being asked is very, very important, and that's where most of the compute power of training an AI goes into, a model goes into, to understand the right intent and also understand the concept and to remain in the context. That's where all the training happens. So AI is also now able to summarize your voice into text, and then to that. So I think the apps are now there, but you're going to see more going forward. And that's going to be more common when it comes. And your e-commerce clients are going to take time, and if when we talk about conversational AI, they are going to ask for chatbots that are driven by conversational AI, but also at the back end driven by generative AI. So we are moving from traditional chatbots to conversational AI to conversational AI plus generative AI. So I think
Yeah.
these are some of the trends that you would definitely see.
And I couldn't agree more. Nobody knows the future. I think we're in the middle of a breakthrough right now, and this is just going to be carrying on. And all the things, all the concepts that we are seeing right now are just going to become more accessible and easier to implement and adapt within our products.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think the time is up. Priya, thank you so much for all the insights. We got a few minutes left for Q&A session. So to every participants, every one from the attendees, you can post your questions in chat in the comments section, and we'll be trying to answer as many of them as possible.
Yeah, I think Mr. Vikram Singh has raised a very important point there, where he's saying that there is always a potential of information leakage to competitors. So one of the
Mm.
things that marketers and salespeople are delighted about is that you just have to put in the name of your competitor, and you can see all their advertising campaigns, and all their lookalike, all the customers, what they have launched, what has been their budget. There are tools out there that is able to tell you that. So that kind of leakage, information leakage, and that's why Hyundai, Samsung, and a lot of other companies have restricted their employees, employer employees from using ChatGPT and other other general purpose products out there. So those security concerns is there, and that's where all these proprietary models and closed models come into picture. So for example, Zwag AI's LLM that I said, right? It's in terms of data residency, data sovereignty, in terms of
Mhm.
security, where how it's hosted. We don't everything stays within our models and our databases. We don't send it to a third party, because a lot of products out there. This is also very important. A lot of products out there these days, as I call them, lipstick on chat gpt and gift wrapped products. So under the hood they all ping chat gpt, which means that your sensitive information is all being sent out
Mhm.
to the general pool, the data lake, right? So that's very important, and that's why it's important to look at what's under the hood of all these tools that come and tell you that we have integrated AI. This is an AI product. What's under the hood? Is it GPT-3? Is it Chat GPT, or are there proprietary LLMs behind it?
Absolutely. And I think it's a matter of people, of adoption, of people getting used to those new solutions. Back in the days, most of people would be afraid to send sensitive data via an email. Now, these days, the technology is so advanced and, we're so far adopted and accustomed to using those tools that nobody even thinks about it. With most digital products, if you can use Google's single sign-on to access the product, you're not really concerned about security aspects. However, there is much more to that as it comes to security, under the hood, behind the scenes in the product. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, we got another question here regarding next steps for Zwag AI and future development plans. Are you happy to
Yes.
take this?
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that question, Matilda. Zwag AI, we have big things coming. Every week, every other week, we are releasing more chatbots that are specific to answering. There's sports, there's health, there's government related stuff. There is travel related zines that are going to come up. But in the long run, we are definitely training our models, and we are looking at stabilizing on when our models become mature. We are definitely looking forward to open it up. Currently, it is closed. I think 6 months down the line, we should be able to open it out for other people also to commercially access it. And yeah, so that is also in the pipeline. And you should all be able to connect to Zwag's LLM through API calls. So that's what is in the pipeline, and I can't wait for you guys to start building on our LLMs as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed for all of this to happen as soon as possible. Yeah,
Yeah.
good luck. All right, we're open for any other following question. You're welcome, Vikram. If you got any questions regarding security, we're also happy to answer. All right.
I, I think we touched upon this, right? Like initially, people are hesitant to talk to chatbots, and how do you overcome this? I think thanks to ChatGPT, a lot of learning has happened in the past 2 to 3 months, and people are more comfortable about asking questions. And thanks to the technology, not just generative AI, but generally in terms of conversational AI and others, and all the LLMs being more mature and stuff like that, we are able to bring. See, earlier the chatbots were not able to answer certain questions because they are all based on a very limited knowledge base. They're based on uh, hours and hours of manual work, wherein the developers would put in intent, they put in the context, they put in the answers, they create the chat flow. Hundreds and hundreds of that kind of feeding happens, right? But now it is not that labor intensive. So our ability to train, you can upload an entire handbook, a PDF, and then the bot trains itself from that source, just like what we are doing with build your own bot on we build bots.ae, right? Where you
Mhm.
can train from multiple. The training itself doesn't take as much. It's not labor intensive as before. That way, chatbots are more responsive, and that's the only way to kind of make people happier when they interact with a chatbot, by making it like it more humane. And that's what generative AI and conversational AI is able to do now. they don't respond like very chatbot like now.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic improvement in technology. We got another question, which I think is related to what kind of chatbots are you going to build with Swag and I? And correct me if I'm wrong, but if I understand properly, you're going to provide a solution that's going to fit almost any application out there on the market, right?
Yeah, no, we are very much focused on currently e-commerce platforms, and that could be sector agnostic, like e-commerce in any sector, healthcare, and not just bots, but also the underlying technology. Right, as I said, we are releasing our LLM to a very few trusted users as well. So they've started building their own solutions based on that in healthcare, yes, in e-commerce and so on and so forth. Can we build a bot to help lawyers or corporate lawyers? Yes, we can. But do we want to? No, that's not something that we are looking at this point.
Mhm.
Partly because that is, you would have read the reports where a lawyer took ChatGPT to court. I mean, wrote something, took the advice of ChatGPT and went to the court, and all the controversy around that, right? So there are certain things that I think at this point, from an ethical point of view, I wouldn't touch, I wouldn't go to. Um, there is a lot of risk in taking advice off the internet when it comes to health, when it comes to legal stuff. I see a lot of people downloading NDAs and contracts and agreements and using ChatGPT to generate stuff. But be very cautious when you do that. Always ensure that there is a human element in it. Take it to your lawyers and make sure that it's there are no loopholes, because you don't want to end up in legal hassle. So as of now, no, we are not looking at that. We are more focused on e-commerce, but that is also sector agnostic. We are not just looking at, we are looking at e-commerce digital services as such,
Mhm.
uh, and not just you know fashion or just not just retail per se.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. So it's a good take not to try to use it for any application. There are sensitive topics. There are topics of high responsibility, which I think we shouldn't be very trustful as it comes to. Yeah, of course, it can help you create some guidelines, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you got to be careful about it. We got a last question, and I think we got some time, like 1 minute left for the last question. And the question is it limited to GCC only?
Zwag AI, the social app now, the recommendations are very much limited to UAE because it's a Meta product. Meta version is our MVP. So the recommendations you'll find is very much limited to UAE. But yes, is definitely we are looking to launch it GCC wide very soon. If you're
Mhm.
asking about Zlang, if you're asking about Zlang, the language model, we have built it specifically for the region, for the GCC region. Yes.
All right. Thank you for answering this one. We're running out of time, so if there is any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to any one of us on LinkedIn or any other communication channel of your convenience. I think LinkedIn, it would be the easiest to find us there. Thanks again, Priya, for all your insights and for sharing your vision on what's happening right now and what's coming up next. It was a pleasure to have you here today.
Same here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks a lot. And thank you, everyone, for your participation. Have a fantastic afternoon. Bye bye.